but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you. So can I present the letter from the King to you?
Thank you very much. Am I supposed to read it right now?
Yeah, please do.
Hey, and welcome to today, where my day has started out so very well. You know, it is awesome when you record for 27 minutes only to realize you were talking to nobody. Thank you, OBS. But to dive into today, there's a lot of things that are going on which I will refrain from giving a lot of my personal opinion on for certain reasons. But leave in mind, there are a lot of things that are happening in Canada, and we will be talking about that further to the end. But for the starter, we're just gonna line things up once again to get to that juicy bit of news. Starting off with Pierre Poilievre calling out Mark Carney for moving, let me actually just read what he put. If Mark Carney thinks it is a good business decision for Brookfield to move their company headquarters to New York City, does he think every other Canadian business should do the same? And this is leading up to the main point in that clearly Mark Carney doesn't think that Canada is the strongest economy for businesses, because if he did, he wouldn't have moved it to America. There's a clear movement and a clear reason for that. Now, you might say that he did this because of the tariffs that are going to be enacted soon, which we'll get into that. But even if that were true, then that once again still proves that America has the stronger economy for businesses. Clearly, Mark Carney is saying that Canadian businesses should move to America because then they'd see economic growth being over there. This isn't a good look for Mark Carney, obviously. Granted, he wasn't good looking in the first place, but it is quite fun to see Pierre dunking on him. Now we get into the more meaningful part of what I have to say here, which is that in Toronto, Doug Ford has won the election going on there, which previously I don't exactly have the best of recommendations for Doug Ford. I think he is quite spineless. I think he's weak. I don't think he's a good leader. But in terms of an election, I'm happy that a conservative won rather than a liberal or NDP or any of the other things, because clearly they have proven that they are not trustworthy leaders, especially in Canada. For some reason, the Liberals and NDP, they just love sucker punching Canadians. So I'm glad that a conservative won. I just have my own stance on Doug Ford and not liking him, because I think he's once again a weak leader. I don't think he's strong. I think he says a lot of things but doesn't have the gusto to actually uphold what he says. But he had a victory speech to go along with him winning. Let us take a look at that real quick. Within minutes after polls closed, Doug Ford has won re-election, securing a third consecutive majority government and strengthening the Progressive Conservatives' grip on Queen's Park. Now with 80 seats, up from 79 entering the campaign, Ford's victory solidifies his political dominance in Ontario, a province where premiers rarely serve more than 2 terms. In his victory speech at the Toronto Congress Centre, Ford framed the win as a mandate to strengthen Ontario in light of U.S. tariffs, President Donald Trump. Which I just want to take this moment to say, how can you be a multi-million dollar company? I don't know how big CTV News is, but how can you be this large conglomerate in Canada, and yet you can't afford Grammarly to spell check what you write? That is horrific grammar we just read there. To strengthen Ontario in light of U.S. tariffs, President Donald Trump. Like, there should be a comma there. Or there should be a tariffs from President Donald Trump. Like, what is the grammar here? How are you this large of a bloated company and you can't even afford Grammarly? Grammarly is free! For real! Ford spoke to CP24 moments after his win, expressing gratitude and reaffirming his commitment to Ontario. I am very blessed. I'm very, very grateful. And I'll work my back off every day, every morning I wake up. I'll work hard, Ford told CP24. So, we'll see what happens. Again, I'm very grateful to the people of Ontario, and we're going to make sure we protect the people of Ontario and protect their families and their jobs and businesses, Ford said. I'll fight tooth and nail against Donald Trump, I promise you that. And that is a good segue for what I want to talk about next, which, as I stated before, is that the tariffs are going to be enacted upon on March 4th. I will let Mark Nixon take it from here. Trump confirms tariffs on Canada will start March 4th, 25%. April 2nd, more tariffs if we retaliate. This is a full-blown economic open up Parliament now. And this is, once again, the lead up into the main conversation, which is the tariffs. Trump is tariffing us more. Potentially more if we retaliate, which, as Doug Ford has stated prior, he would put retaliatory tariffs on America. So, it is almost confirmed that there will be more tariffs by April. So, be prepared for that, Canadians. And so, I think it is just on a different note, I think it is a bit funny, funny. It's not funny. It is regretfully funny, I think is how I'd pronounce that. It is regretfully funny as to how Canadians are in such of a kerfuffle over the 25% tariffs and whatever more tariffs means during April. We're in such a kerfuffle over that when our current carbon tax is more than the tariffs. If we were to get rid of the carbon tax, if we were to get rid of the carbon tax, then we would to a degree balance out. We wouldn't be in such of a downward spiral, but clearly, with Mark Carney having won the Liberal election, obviously, because, surely he's getting elected, right? He certainly isn't being selected, right? Certainly not. Especially with that Liberal debate we watched where it was a complete and utter silly. And I think it is rather interesting to see where we are going with Mark Carney at the helm of Canada while tariffs are going to be happening. Which, hold on, never mind. I was about to see when the Liberal election finalized, but I mean, that's kind of not really poignant to what I want to bring up. But the point is, I wonder what Canada will look like under Mark Carney while we have the tariffs happening. I suspect that Western side and Eastern side will finally reach a point of division, complete division. That is something I'm willing to bet. I will bet no money, but I'm still gonna bet that the Western side will separate from the Eastern side under what is going to happen. I would say be prepared for that to actually take place. And I bring that up because recently King Charles has sent an invitation to Donald Trump through Keir Starmer. Let us take a listen to that real quick.
And it is my pleasure to bring from His Majesty the King a letter. He sends his best wishes and his regards, of course, but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you. So can I present the letter from the King to
Thank you very much. Am I supposed to read it right now?
Yeah, please do.
I will do.
I've got to tell him what your reaction is, so I need to know.
He is a great gentleman. A great gentleman. Oh, that's wow. Well, that is really nice. I must make sure his signature's on that. Because, otherwise, it's not quite as meaningful. It is, and that's quite a signature, isn't it? Beautiful. He's a beautiful man, a wonderful man, and we appreciate it. I've known him, gotten to know him very well, actually.
So I am talking about this in specifics because it is quite interesting as to how the tariffs are brought up, but then immediately after, like basically same, I don't know if this is posted on the exact same day, but they're close enough, essentially. It is quite interesting as to how, after the tariffs are brought back up, all of a sudden, King Charles sends him a letter of invitation to have a discussion. I am assuming that there will be stuff happening between Canada and America coming up very shortly, and I will be covering that here when that happens. Don't know when, don't know how, don't know anything, but I will be covering it either-wise. What I suspect will be something upon the lines of a 51st state. But I don't know. I don't know what that will look like. Don't know anything. It's a complete and utter speculation. Tell me what you guys are thinking down below with that. But on this topic, there are still a lot of Canadians currently, well, as I stated, I think under Mark Carney and the tariffs, there would be a legitimate shift between the West and the East. I think it is completely legitimate in betting that there would be a divide that happens. And it is, I mean, I don't think a lot of the western part of Canada would go against that happening either. Let's just take a look at a video from Donald Trump once again.
Can I shift our attention to Canada real quick?
Yes, please.
Last week, I spent some time with 2 government officials for Canada. I was asking them how realistic is it that Canada would be the 51st state.
Yeah.
And they told me there is a path. Alberta is first, and if they sign on, Saskatchewan would follow, and then you go west to British Columbia. There is a movement in Canada to join us. I want to get your thoughts on that and how that's proceeding right now.
So it's true. Thank you, Brian. It's true. A lot of people in Canada are liking becoming our beautiful, cherished 51st state. They'll have to pay much lower taxes. They'll have the ultimate security. You know, they don't pay very much for security right now because they rely on us.
I want to take this moment to bring to the idea that right now what we are facing is Mark Carney tariffs, my brain is like, I'm just mixing up words. Right now we are facing Mark Carney taxes, which, as you guys know, the carbon tax will increase in April. That will happen, or at least it's been outlined as going to happen. And under Mark Carney, who is to say it won't go up even more? Obviously it will. You know it. I know it. He clearly is pro taxes. He wants to tax us even more. That is going to happen. But with the tariffs on top, this is having a compounding effect of taxes and tariffs. And just imagine, if we became the 51st state, both of those types of taxes would be wiped off. That would be an insane amount of growth that would happen in Canada after the tariffs and after the taxes. That would be a ludicrous change that would happen in Canada. So not only is the West and East going to split apart, probably, but moreover, the western side, which, as noted in here, Alberta and all the other provinces, hopefully Manitoba, will probably join with America. And under that, they will see a boom of economy. They will see an utter boom of economy if that happens. I would say, once again, right about now would be a great time to move out to Alberta. Right now would be a fantastic time to do that, because that is probably your safest bet for living. Because let's say Alberta moves. Let's say, just for hypothetical sake, let's say Alberta moves to be part of America. Now Trump has oil that Canada needs. Now Trump has power of oil that Canada desperately needs. We can't live on green energy because it all comes from oil. We need it. Now it would be in his power. What would happen after that? As I stated, Alberta is probably your safest bet to be living in. But that is all I really had to say about today. I will once again be covering what will happen, so stay tuned for that whenever that happens. But this is where I'm going to leave it all off. I hope to see you in the next video, but until whenever that is, I hope that you have a good one.